Hey everybody, it is Kellen from RacerX again with another race examination video, this time from the finale, Salt Lake City 7, where Eli Tomac was looking to pick up his first career 450 SX class Monster Energy AMA Supercross World Championship. And in the main event, it actually got a little dicey for him right off the get-go here because he actually got caught up in a little bit of this first turn melee. So Tomac had to kind of weave his way through there as basically the entire Husqvarna team started out front with Dean Wilson getting the whole shot. But you can see here that Tomac kind of has Justin Barcia tip over on his rear wheel, and Barcia's bars actually get caught in Braden's rear wheel. But that very easily could have been Tomac getting caught up in all that, and it doesn't end up being the case for him. Instead, on the outside, Cooper Webb actually falls as he runs into Martin Davalos down there. So just kind of interesting little tidbits there from the first corner that Tomac was able to kind of survive a little bit of chaos, and in the end, it was actually Tomac's counterpart for the championship, Cooper Webb, that was affected the most in this first turn crash, and it kind of sealed the deal there for the championship, at least for Tomac, because Cooper Webb was not going to be up front and have an opportunity to seal a lot of points off against Tomac. It was the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna trio out front, though, and Anderson would actually take the lead from Wilson and start pulling away a bit at the front, but late in the race, he lost his seat, and Zach Osborne was able to capitalize on that and catch him and make the pass to go on to take his first ever 450 Supercross main event win. Big deal there for Zacho, of course. But Eli Tomac was the man of the day and the man of the year as he seals the deal in the 450 Supercross division. His first ever 450 Supercross championship, gives a big high five to Brian Kranz's mechanic. And then this is kind of cool here, a little bit of knuckles from Dean Wilson, which is just interesting because both of these guys have a long history of racing each other and actually had a pretty big rivalry with each other back in 2012 in Supercross. So that's kind of cool to just see that Wilson was paying respects there. And if you didn't realize, Eli Tomac is the #1 plate holder at the end of the year, just in case you didn't know that. Moving on to the 250 class, and the showdown was set to be a wild one, but we got things kicked off initially with the 250 West heat race where Dylan Ferrandis actually got caught up in this melee here in the second corner as he was the points leader who was trying to win the championship, obviously, tonight. And what happened was, if you look back here, Ferrandis is going to come in on the outside of this corner, and he could just follow Forkner up to the top of the berm, but he kind of cuts down underneath, trying to get underneath Moseman, and it really kind of accordions everybody together. Not exactly Ferrandis' fault. It really is just like kind of first lap, first turn, first couple corners of chaos, essentially. But just an interesting tidbit there that accordion effect actually was pushed together a little bit by Ferrandis, and of course ends up under Derek Kelly's bike and has to get back up and kind of pick himself up. He would eventually make it through in the last chance qualifier, though. Meanwhile, on the other coast in the other heat race in the 250 East division, big contact here between Colt Nichols and Chase Sexton on the last lap of the race as Sexton was trying to jump down the inside. Now, it's important to note that actually the lap prior to this happening, Sexton tried to make a move down the inside, and you can see that Nichols had to react to it a little bit there. Now, you could argue that maybe Nichols didn't see Sexton triple down the inside the lap before, but I would argue that he did, because as he takes off the Supercross triple, he very clearly looks back to see if Sexton had gone down. So as they come into this the next time through, Nichols, I think, is trying to react to Sexton tripling down the inside and tries to close the door here. So he looks over and just kind of gradually comes over. I think he was expecting Sexton to check up and not triple, but Sexton already committed to tripling, triples down the inside and just lands on Nichols, who is slowly coming over to the inside of the corner. Really, both of their moves were just kind of poor decision making, honestly, as Sexton was just trying to force the issue and Nichols was obviously trying to shut the door. But at speed, this is such a different crash. This happens so fast and everything goes so quickly that it's really hard to make these quick judgment calls, and unfortunately in this case it ends up with Nichols out of this one with an arm injury at the end of the evening. So right before the showdown started, there was actually a little bit of drama involved, and Chase Sexton actually had his whole shot device get disengaged at one point as well. But hear what Chase had to say about what happened leading into the showdown.
We had these little flags, like,
right.
This is supposed to be what we pick our gates with, and I went ahead and picked my gate, and we started rolling our bikes up, and I'm sitting there, Shane's trying to roll his bike in my gate. I'm like, what are you doing? And I guess he just thought I went inside of him, one gate inside of him, and then he went, I guess, took my gate. So they were arguing about that, the AMA guys, but I don't know. I think that's what they planned on doing, because I was after him picking, so I just went right inside of him, and it was a pretty good rut. So
okay.
He just saw me pick that, and I guess, I don't know how it's legal, because those things are supposed to be what we pick our gates with.
You have the flags.
So
that's it. You got to be set in your...
The flag was in the ground, and he picked his gate, and then, so I was literally, like, scrubbing my gate off with a brush, and he's rolling his bike, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then they're, like, all arguing, so I was like, whatever. I got a gate. I saw this other gate that I liked that was even farther inside. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just take that. I don't really care. So.
Now, in the main event, everything got kicked off with a terrible start for Chase Sexton and a great start for Shane McElrath, which is exactly what he needed. Austin Forkner also got a great start, while Dylan Ferrandis was kind of buried down the field a little bit further, having to come through the last chance qualifier with a poor gate pick. So this really set up McElrath and Forkner in a great position to take full advantage of this, and they just needed to have their title contenders finish third or worse if they were able to win the race out front. But then this happens here, a huge one for Austin Forkner on the third lap of the race. He goes down extremely hard, and this one kind of all got kicked off by missing the second uphill roller on the Dragon's back. I think he was just kind of prepared to hit it, doesn't, so it goes over it and it loads up his suspension a little bit harder on the top whoop, pitches him over the bars, he nose picks the landing and just augers in so hard. Brutal crash there for Forkner, but fortunately he was able to actually stand up and walk off under his own power. No update at this time on his condition, but definitely a tough one to swallow for him. And then on the restart in the 250 main event, it was actually a much better start this time around for Sexton and Ferrandis, actually. McElrath still starts up front, but it's actually Sexton's teammate, Jet Lawrence, who gets the whole shot, and he leads early until McElrath makes this pass on him. Lawrence fights back down the inside and pushes Shane all the way out into the soft step in the first corner, so Sexton cuts underneath, it gets inside of him, and then Sexton takes full advantage to go to the lead on his teammate. Lawrence kind of lets him go on the inside, but also allows McElrath to sneak through. So a couple laps later, when they're coming through on the finish line jump again, Sexton wants no part of getting taken to the ground by McElrath in this scenario, so he basically just pulls out of the way, lets him go, and then Shane jumps in front of him and actually starts slowing the pace down, very similar to Tomac's bunching technique back in 2017 at Las Vegas. And it could have worked. Unfortunately, though, for McElrath, he's trying to slow the pace down out front and misses this rhythm section, this long rhythm section in the back, because he just doesn't get the drive onto the table. So Sexton jumps past him, and because he gets the rhythm clean, opens up a gap that is insurmountable at that point for McElrath, and he would go on to not only win the race, but defend his 250 East Championship this year. And behind him, Dylan Ferrandis would do the same. But here you see Sexton, big fist pump, and then he just clutches up, ghost rides the bike. Legend has it, it's still rolling somewhere else to this day. Gets a big high five from Jade Dungy. But here is Ferrandis through the whoops on the final lap of the race. And he would, of course, clinch the championship as well in the 250 West Division, which is the first time since 1992 that the East and West champions have gone back-to-back.